The following was written by Robert Wright and published in Dodge City, the cowboy capital, in 1913. On a beautiful spring morning in early May 1859, I was awakened at the break of day, having gone into camp the preceding evening after dusk, by the singing of birds and lowing of cattle, and last, but not least, the harsh and discordant voice of the wagon boss, of whom I stood in wholesome fear, calling, "Roll out, roll out," to the men as the cattle were driven into the corral to yoke up and get started. Indeed, all nature seemed alive and pouring out the sweetest notes on that lovely morning when I first saw the great Pawnee Rock. It was, indeed, a curious freak of nature, rising abruptly out of a fertile stretch of bottomland several miles wide, 3 or 4 miles north of the Arkansas River, which flowed sluggishly along its way, its muddy current on its usual spring rise, caused by the melting of snow in the mountains. The time of the year, the ideal weather, and the lovely greensward, interspersed with the most beautiful, variegated wild flowers, combined to make one of the most beautiful sights I ever witnessed. The scene impressed itself not only upon me, but the other drivers. Bullwhackers, we were called, shared my admiration. And through our united petition to the wagon boss, the train was halted long enough to allow our going to the rock, from the summit of which I obtained the grand view that so impressed me. It seemed as if I could never tire of gazing on the wonderful panorama that spread before me. The road, if recollection serves me right, ran only a few hundred feet south of the base of the rock, parallel to its face. The rock faced the south, rearing itself abruptly and presenting almost a perpendicular front with a comparatively smooth surface, having thousands of names inscribed on its face, and also on a great many slabs that had, in the process of time and exposure to the elements, been detached from its top and sides and lay flat at its base. Most of the names were those of 49ers who had taken that route in their mad rush for the goldfields of California during that memorable year. Among the names cut in the rock were those of officers and enlisted men in the United States Army, as well as a number of famous men and frontiersmen. There were also a great many Indian paintings, or pictographs, and hieroglyphics done by the red man, crude and laughable, and some of them extraordinarily funny, but I have been told since there was a great deal of significance attached to those paintings, some of them portraying important tribal history, others representing brave and heroic deeds performed by members of the tribes. Robert Wright. Located in the southwest corner of Barton County, Kansas, Pawnee Rock served as an important landmark along the Santa Fe Trail. Pawnee Rock is made of sandstone and today stands between 50 or 60 feet high. Originally, it was much taller, some sources claiming that it was twice the height it is today. In the 1870s, much of the stone was carried away by the railroad and nearby settlers to be used in construction. For the Comanche, Kiowa, Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Pawnee tribes, Pawnee Rock served as an important place where they held councils for war and for peace. The tribes also used it as a lookout place, a rendezvous spot, and an area to lay in ambush. As a landmark for the Santa Fe Trail, it served as the halfway point and had a mixed reputation. On the one hand, it was a good camping spot, as the rock gave some protection against Indian attack, and it was only 100 yards away from the trail itself. But as it could be used for ambush, many believed it was the most dangerous place along the trail. Once travelers reached Pawnee Rock and were not ambushed, they would often carve their names in the soft sandstone. Over the years, many names were carved into Pawnee Rock. Why is it called Pawnee Rock? There are several differing explanations. Some say that it was sacred ground for the Pawnee, that a great battle had happened nearby in which a band of Pawnee were killed. Others say that it was called that because of a mistake by Kit Carson. In 1826, Carson, at the age of 17, was at the rock when he shot his mule, thinking it was a Pawnee Indian. The embarrassing mistake was remembered by those with him. In 1909, Pawnee Rock was turned over to the state of Kansas to be preserved as a historic site. A stone monument was dedicated there in 1912, and in 1970, it was listed in the National Register of Historic Places.